Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Farmhouse pumpkin topiary for Halloween and autumn. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use the pumpkins that are in the tutorials from yesterday and the day before. I'm going to link them in the description box down below in case you didn't see them. It's just that if I would have made it all one, it would have been a long time. We're going to use some spray paint. I'm actually going to use black, and I forgot to take a picture of a plunger. So we're also going to use this black craft paint to write on the pumpkins. You'll see in a second, and we're going to use an X-Acto knife. You may need a scissor as well. But like I said, I forgot to show a picture of the plunger. This is the plunger from the Dollar Tree. And I've just taken some sandpaper, I've peeled off the sticker, and I've sanded off where the sticker adhesive was, and tried to make it as smooth as possible. And don't get crazy because it's no big deal. This is the 97-cent spray paint from Walmart. This is flat black. That's what I chose to use. You can pick whatever color you want, or you can paint this with craft paint. And we're just going to paint the whole plunger. Then we're going to take the pumpkins that we made, 2 pumpkins that were sort of aged, where we put like a little beige paint in the cracks, in the indents. And what we're going to do is on 2 different halves, where we kind of like, if you watched the 2 tutorials before, I mentioned how I was going to do something else with them. So the way I laid the leaves and the stem were so that I could utilize both halves of the pumpkin. So on one side, we're going to make it for Halloween, and we're going to write trick or treat. And I decided to use sort of a Rae Dunn inspired kind of like font. I just like that long, skinny font. It's not exactly the way that she does it. You know, her E is got the little line at the top. I put my little line at the bottom. Just little things that her touches are different. But basically, it's a long, skinny font. And I used a pencil to lay out the letters first before I painted them, which I highly recommend. Just a light touch on the pencil. And then I went over with the fine brush. This brush is from the Dollar Tree, which I'm sorry I never mentioned that you need paintbrush with your paint, but this paintbrush, these set of paintbrushes are from the Dollar Tree, and I've just used the fine one with this craft paint, and I've written on all the letters. You can use the fat Sharpie if you want. That's entirely up to you. I just really wanted it to be painted. Okay? And I knew that I wanted this pumpkin on the top, which is why I made it with the fanciest stem and the fanciest leaves, because I knew I wanted it to be on the top. Now, make sure that you're paying attention to which side you put each word on. I will mention at the end of the video that I paid attention to where my leaf placement was and my tendril placement was, because I knew that I was going to be doing this with these pumpkins, okay? So I made sure that I made it so that you could use both halves separately. And we're going to make it so that we can turn that. If you saw in the thumbnail, all you do is you turn the whole entire topiary around. And it's one side is for autumn and the other side is for Halloween. Okay? So I'm putting trick or treat on one side, and then I'm putting happy fall on the other. And we're going to do a variety of different fonts. Now, we've talked about how to transfer fonts. If you don't think that your handwriting is nice, you can print these words from the computer. You can transfer using carbon rubbing, where you take a pencil and you rub it on the back so that you can get some graphite on the back of the paper, and then you can use that to transfer the words to your surface that you're going to use. But I didn't care. I really like this homey feel of this country feel. You know, the perfect font is not what I was looking for. The perfect paint job is not what I was looking for. So as you saw, I painted treat on the other pumpkin on the same side. I knew that I wanted them to teeter back and forth like topsy-turvy. So I wanted my 2 white pumpkins to lean towards the right, and the one middle pumpkin to lean towards the left. So I made sure I paid attention to that when I was choosing which side I was going to write trick or treat on. What I mean is the leaves and the stems are leaning to one direction. I wanted to make sure that they would both be in the same direction when I put this onto the plunger. All right, and now I'm putting happy on the top one, on the back of the top one, and we're going to write fall on the back of the bottom one. And I'm just picking any random font. I just wrote happy in all lowercase script letters, And then I made them sort of faux calligraphy type of pen, like, which basically is like your up and downs are fat and your overs are skinny. And I didn't even do it that perfectly. I just did it, like quickly and randomly. You do what you like to do. And again, if you want to go ahead and use a stencil or print these from the internet, you can. All right. And then as far as my fall, I wanted to do a different font because I used two of the same fonts on the other side. I wanted to use two different ones for the happy fall. And for fall, I just used like what would be like a Times New Roman sort of book print sort of situation. When I was growing up, they taught us IGA, which is what they call this, where you do the fancy A and the fancy G. I know we had it for like 1 year. It was so weird, so random. So I just wrote fall on the back of this one. And again, I just paid attention to the side. So basically with happy and fall, I made sure that both of them had their leaves on the right side. And with trick or treat, I made sure both of that had the opposite side where the leaf was on the left. And now when I'm going to go do or for the middle pumpkin, I want to make sure that it's the opposite. So for trick or treat, the leaves were on the left. I want to make sure that the middle pumpkin has its leaves on the right so that it could tilt in the other direction. And you'll see when we put it together what the finished result looks like. But you do have to pay attention to these things before you just start painting on them, okay? All right. And that's fall. And now, as far as what I wanted to do on the buffalo check, I went ahead and I made a natural leaf, a natural burlap leaf, and I knew I wanted to use like craft paper, but I really wanted it to be stiff. So I was like, ooh, cardboard, toilet paper tube, or whatever. So I cut just a section off and I cut it along the way it's wrapped, and I just folded it in half to make sort of a shape. I wanted to make like a diamond shape with the ends cut off. And that's what I did. I folded it in half and I cut triangle top, triangle bottom, and then cut the ends off. So it would be like this triangle shape with the ends cut off. And then I took sort of the same Times New Roman font and I wrote the word or. Not exactly even. I just went like to random. I just made it. I don't know. I just feel like I want to make it different. All right. And then when I went to go put it on there, I originally thought I just wanted it a big piece. But then when I went to go put it on there, it just didn't seem right to me. So what I ended up doing was cut it down. I recentered it because when I put or, it ended up being a little bit to the left. So I recentered it, I cut it down, and then I was like, ooh, let me put it on this piece of paper. So I got a white piece of photo paper that I have just sitting. I cut a star out of it for a craft one day. And I thought, oh, how great. I can glue it to this and give it sort of a border background. So you see here, I'm just not loving it. I'm not loving it. So what I did was I took a piece of this paper and I glued it to it. And then I cut around it just to give it a little bit of a dimension. And it was just simple scrap paper. Now, I did mention before, I will mention later, that this is staying in my house. So if you want to put it outside, I would definitely spray it down with some clear acrylic spray for sure. All right, and that's how it looks. It's cute, right? I thought it came out really cute. So here's how the middle pumpkin looks. I love the way that this texture on this pumpkin, it really does almost look like it's fabric. It just I don't know, just the way it worked out. And now we're going to attach them to our pole. Now you can see the plunger here. It's just spray painted black, and it does take a little bit extra for the rubber part to dry. But I'm showing you here how I wanted to tilt it and how I want it to come out. So you'll see I want it to come up on the opposite side of where the leaf is. So the best way I could think to do it was to go down from where I want it to come out. Because the bottom hole isn't as critical as the top one, I wanted to make sure, the placement anyway, I wanted to make sure that I got the top hole properly. So I had another plunger for another DIY, so I've just taken the stick off another plunger. I'm using that to make the whole size. You can go ahead and take the plunger off of the rubber part off the plunger so you can use the stick for the correct size. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use the other plunger. So as you can see here, I'm just trying to make an indent into the styrofoam with the end of the plunger, not the rounded end, with the part that you screw in to the rubber. And I'm doing that to indicate the perfect size of the hole that I need to make. And then I'm also using my craft knife. This is actually not my craft knife that I showed in the beginning. This is actually the box cutter that I bought in Texas at the Dollar Tree, but I love it so much. And I'm just slowly working it around so that I can get that little plug out. Okay, and once I do, you'll see I just go around, and actually I ended up using a pencil to poke the plug in, I think, or pull the plug out. But after we've done that, we're going to continue pushing the plunger handle into the pumpkin, but we're going to support it on the back, and I'll show you that in a second here. But I've decided to leave this portion in real time so that you can see how carefully I'm actually doing this. I'm pressing in a little bit, and then I'm cutting a little bit, and I'm pressing in a little bit more, and I'm cutting in a little bit more. Because the last thing I thought that I would like to do is to crack this pumpkin in half after I spent so much time painting it. Probably not a good idea. So I just wanted to show you in real time how meticulously I'm actually taking the care to insert this stick in this pumpkin to create the proper size hole. And now that we've got it in there, I'm putting my hand on the back of the pumpkin, on the underside of the pumpkin basically, and I'm feeling where I'm pushing the stick through. Okay, so here I'm just going to readjust so that you could see better camera angle. So I can feel that right there, and I'm going to keep twisting the broom handle while I put pressure on it with my hand. So I'm pushing against my hand as to, again, not crack the pumpkin in half. It's not something you want to do at this stage. Like I said, this is easy. It's just time consuming. I know that that sounds weird, but that's easy and quick aren't always going hand in hand. So you see now as I've come through the bottom, I'm just going to use my little knife and I'm going to try to get a clean circle cut out of it. All right, and like I said, the most important part is to go in where you want it to come out, because as far as the bottom's concerned, it will just go straight across from the top as long as you use that method and that technique. All right, and now we're just going to slide it onto the pole, and make sure you do fall first or treat, because you want that to be on the bottom. And then just be careful as you go through. Put your finger in the hole and try to find and guide the pole up through it. Okay. All right, and then slide it down. And I'm not gluing this. I've just left this because we've made the hole exactly, and it's styrofoam. It really holds onto that that stick really well. Okay. Now we're just going to speed through the other two because it's the same exact process, and I don't want to bore you while watching the same exact process really slow twice. But what I'm doing is I'm planning first. I want to make sure that I have the word or on the side with treat, and I want to make sure I go in the right side, or actually I want it to come out the right side on the correct side. I can't use the word right when it's a left and right situation, but I want to make sure I come out the correct side. So I'm going to start at the top, just like we did before, on the other side of where we did before. And we're going to use the exact same technique and method. We're just going to go slowly and drill in the little screw end of the plunger handle in. And we're going to cut around as we do. And we're going to feel our way through the bottom to make sure we come out exactly where we want to come out. And when you watch any cake decorating shows, this is called topsy-turvy, where one is like angled one way and one's angled the other way. So that's why I picked that word, but just make sure that you have that you're going in the right direction where you're topsying, you're turvying, and that kind of stuff. So now we're just going to do the last one. And I was back and forth about, did I want to come out of the last one, or did I just want it, like, did I want to have pole at the top, or did I just want to like have the pumpkin just sitting at the top? And I decided I really wanted to have a little pole handle at the top. I didn't want to risk, I didn't want to glue it, and I didn't want to risk grabbing the top pumpkin to lift up the whole contraption and have the pumpkin come off. But I kind of like it with a little handle sticking out of the top. It does look like I just slid these all down on a pole. It does look like they're all like, you know, cute little pumpkins down on the pole. All right. And just repeated the process for the third one and guided on there. And now this is where you get to adjust it and zhuzh it. You know, zhuzh it. We love that word, right? Check all of your stems, check all of your leaves and your tendrils, and make sure everything's exactly the way you want it.
So I just wanted to tell you all a few things. I forgot to wash this plunger, and this paint is still tacky after 20, well, it hasn't quite been 24 hours. You know, so just be careful of that. And then I wanted to show you how you can adjust it. So obviously in the planning, I made sure that one of the two white pumpkins had the leaves on the fall side, like basically on the right, on the fall side, and then the beige pumpkin had the buffalo check pumpkin had the leaf on the left side, so that basically I could stack them like this. So plan that when you're gluing your leaves on, or when you're writing your words, really. So you might have to turn it around. I so am in love with it, like I can't even tell you. So this is what it looks like on the happy full y'all, and you can adjust it. See, I didn't glue them because the technique we used to get the pumpkins on, the holes are really nice and tight, so I can actually take them off one day if I want to. Like, say I want to change the color of the stick to gray or whatever, I could. And then when you turn it around, it says trick or treat, which I totally love. I love how I did this. It was really like my intention. I actually was thinking about a piece of the chalkboard tag, but then when I made the stem, like the burlap, I wanted to draw the color down here, and I just love the way it came out. And who knew, simple as a piece of cardboard from paper towel tube. Okay, and so you can adjust it. That's what I wanted to say. And then you can adjust your stems since they're all wired. You can adjust your tendrils. They're all wired except for this one, if you remember that. And yeah, I super love it.
So in case you haven't gotten that message yet, I really love it. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial or this series of tutorials. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Anybody you know might be interested in making this, or maybe it inspires you to do something of your own. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And I do lots of videos, lots of DIYs, in-depth tutorials, mostly with Dollar Tree products, and then, if not, very inexpensive anyway. And as always, you take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye.